Thank everyone for coming out. We always seem to pick a nice warm day to come here. Okay, well, she's setting that up. It's for the water project, Water District 2, a total rebuild of this whole area between Van Buren and Green Crest. The reason we need to have a few meetings, there's over 130 easements that have to be signed off from each individual to go across your property and various things. Our engineer, Clark Patterson, Seth, will be explaining the procedure and where the water line will be going. It's looking like springtime we'll bid the project out, and this area here, we don't want disruption in summer, but we're going to try to work around it, hopefully do a lot of it in the fall when most of you are leaving. What we can do, we'll do in the areas that won't disrupt. We'll concentrate more on probably Green Crest in the summertime because it's not quite as disruptive then. I'm going to turn it over to Seth and he'll explain more.
Thank you, Dan. I'm Seth Kroll from Clark Patterson Lee, and with me is Rami Herzella. We're working on the design of this new water main replacement. We were also involved with the Phase 1 regional water replacement switch.
Can you speak a little louder?
Oh, we're getting them.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming last night, too.
Oh, yeah.
Go.
Being such a tight community, we got to really try to figure out how to get this so you continue to have water while we're disrupting things. It'll be a challenging year. All new fire hydrants, all new meter pits, and all brand new lines. And it'll be up to you if you want to put a new line from your house to the new meter pit.
Am I correct in understanding this is required that this be done? That the state or whatever says this has to be completed?
Yeah, because it's deteriorated, all the meter pits are in such bad shape, the main lines are, all the main valves, the hydrants are all getting really
Folks, I think we actually have a mic now. Thank you.
Yeah, all the fire hydrants, all the main lines, everything's really getting bad condition. It's the town board's responsibility, once a water district's put in, to keep it up to standards. And we've been, they've been on us that we should be doing something about it. Conference should be doing something too here shortly. There's in bad shape on the other side. So, again, here's Seth.
Thank you, Dan. I'm Seth Kroll from Clark Patterson Lee, and with me
Close to your mouth.
Yeah, that's put it right close to your mouth.
Okay.
You have to eat it.
Much better. Thank you.
it was ice cream, sure. I'm Seth Kroll from Clark Patterson Lee. With me is my colleague Rami Herzella. We're the engineers working on this water main improvement project. We were also involved with the Phase 1 improvements that were under construction the last year and a half along Route 5. I'm sure we're all familiar with that. So this is just a further improvement of rehabilitating the water mains in this area. And we asked everyone to come here if they're able to, because with this replacement of the water main, it's an involved project. Especially this area of Van Buren Point. There's a lot of existing utilities along the road, water, gas, sewer, drainage, and in putting the new water main in, we have to figure out how to put that water main in without disturbing everyone's property as best we can. and without disturbing those existing utilities. So I know everyone's been anxious for new water, and we have started this process a few months ago, about last fall. And in that time, we got all the base mapping that we could, visited the site a couple times, spoke with people familiar with the utilities in the area, such as the town water and sewer department, and we're able to develop a preliminary set of plans on where we think now at this point we could best place the new water main, weighing in all those factors and where we can install it and try to make it more feasible for all the homeowners. So that's the main point of meeting today, is to come out, we can show you what we have so far, and get your thoughts, answer any questions you may have. And as Dan mentioned, there's quite a few easements that we are looking at obtaining from owners within this development. And just because we have something proposed now, doesn't mean it can't change. It's just we have to have a starting point and discuss with everyone here. And we want to meet with everyone because I know a lot of you are seasonal owners or visitors here. So we just want to start that process now and have more meetings in the future if we need to. So we can answer some general questions for you now, and then in a little bit, both Rami and myself have plans. We can meet with you each individually, show you what's going on in front of your property. Even if you don't need an easement, we can inform you of what we're looking to do and get your thoughts and answer more questions at that point. Dan mentioned timing of this project. It really depends upon what we can do with these easements, because this project overall is not just Van Buren Point, it's the next two developments south towards a water tank. It's about 4.5 miles of water main replacement total. And with that, we're reconnecting about 270 home water services. It's a lot of properties involved. And on top of that, at this point with the preliminary documents, we have identified about 130 easements that would be beneficial for the project to obtain. That number is going to change, but it's just a lot of easements to get. So the coordination process is really what's going to determine timing from this project from this point on out towards construction. Ideally, if we can work through all that, all the easements that are needed, anything that changes, we could get it buttoned up by this fall or summer, by the fall, throughout the summer, and bid the project in the wintertime. And that'll allow a contractor maybe to start construction in the wintertime or the spring and throughout next year. So Dan mentioned spring, which is, we're looking at this point, but it's really this coordination process that we just have to get through at this point. We've started coordinating with all the regulatory agencies. That's a pretty straightforward process, but it's just working with the property owners. So with all that being said, are there any kind of general questions that we can answer this time?
One thing before you start. What an easement is where they gotta come onto your land, because the roadways are so small, we might have to come on your land. So to do that, each landowner that water line might have to, that line has to touch, to go by, you gotta write an easement that, you allow the town to go through there. So that's where all the easements come in. Another general, we talked about the North County water line. When this district first came in, you had to pay for that line all the way to the golf course with a pump station, running the pump station with electric, the water tower to maintain the water tower. That's $100,000 we paid about 15 years ago to repaint that. And that was coming out of your water rates. Now we've done away with that. You got a brand new line out front that virtually that would have been encompassed into this project. So it saved everyone a lot of money by having that North County water line through there. But again, general questions, I guess.
Hi, Ann Brown. We own a property on Lakeside. Can you describe the process and working with property owners to, get the easements, what you present to them, what they should receive in the mail, what kind of information we should be prepared, and what that timeline is?
Sure. So today, we're not here looking to finalize any easement or have anything signed off on. It's just to show you what our thoughts are at this point, and if we need to make changes, we can. And then eventually, there are some formal documents that have to be signed by the property owner and the town, and it gets recorded in the county courthouse because that easement's part of your property. As Dan mentioned, it just allows the water main to be located underground. You can still have things above ground nearby the water main. Obviously, you can't put a post or a building right on top of the water main, but the easement area is still used by the property owner. Just lets the water main be underground. So if both parties agree upon the easement, there's standard paperwork that's prepared, a map figure showing that, a legal description, and then an agreement that will be presented to you through the mail or locally if you're still around the area, and then you can review that with yourself or your attorney and then coordinate with the town for signing it. And so it's a pretty straightforward process at that point. Does that answer your...
Kind of. Do you use mailing addresses as they are for, winter homes? Like, you don't get mail here. So how do you mail to people who don't? A tax bill or something?
Well, right now, at least for people that we are seeking easements for, we have a list of the local addresses and then the out-of-area address if it's listed on the county system. So that's one thing we want to verify with people here today too, is what's your out-of-town address if you have one, even if we're not looking for an easement now because things could change. So that's happened before. North County Phase 1 project, we had about 70 easements to obtain for that, and it was a lot of coordination as people were out there as well. So confirming your address both here and out of town is definitely helpful.
And we probably have most of your addresses due to the fact of water bills. A lot of you have it on your water bills already, so we can coordinate with your water bills. Again, with that easement, with the water line coming through, after the project's done, there's restoration period. All that land will be put back exactly the way it was. Pictures will be taken before. So, if you can sign it and we do a final, until you're satisfied with it, you let us know. And the contractor has to put it back to the way it was found when the project started.
Yes.
Can I ask two questions? One is simply about funding of the project. How is this project how is the project being funded? Is it taxes, increased rates, or are you going for grants, or is it all three? Can you just explain how this project is funded, and do you have some idea of what the estimate cost will be at this point?
The project has obtained funding through the State Office of USDA Rural Development. They offer programs to assist rural communities with improving water and sewer. So an application was made to Rural Development, which they granted or issued a grant and a low-interest loan to cover the cost of this project. The estimated cost for all the replacement of the water main is about $1.6 million, and a good portion of that, about 40 to 50%, is grant money, and the remainder was a low-interest loan. And I believe with that financial assistance package, it doesn't really change the town finances as requiring an increase in cost. It just enables you to kind of keep it going from current conditions. So that's all that funding's been in place. So that's why we're here able to start designing the water main.
And it's looking roughly, it's roughly right now, but somewhere in the neighborhood of $300 a year on your tax bill to cover the cost.
How many years?
How many years?
30-something, right?
38, I believe.
38 with Rural Development.
Forever.
Yeah, Jeff Swick, 5477 Lakeside. What percentage design are you at?
We're pretty good with the preliminary design. I'd say we're about 60%. And until we confirm homeowners where we can go, then we can finalize it further, and that's a fairly quick process.
I've got a couple of questions. Second question, the easements, are they primarily going to be along the road, parallel with the property line, or will you going to have to go across our properties?
The easements are mainly along the road frontage, typically 10 to 15 feet off the front property line would be the easement width. The actual water main, it's small at 8 inches in diameter, so for construction, the contractor just needs about 5-10 feet to install it, and after that's done, you would just need the easement for maintenance. So about 10-foot swath is typical for most of these easements.
And last question, I've had engineering flags in my yard all spring. Can I take those out? I don't know why they're there.
They may be there during the design process. We make a request to the state agency to locate utilities on site. I believe that's what they may be for.
I seem to be the only property in the neighborhood that has them.
That has to do with your tree grinding.
Maybe,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, because it's standard.
I had a tree taken out this winter, so I
Okay.
don't know if it has to do with that or not.
Well,
They probably,
Okay. I can take them out.
you can take them off.
One concern I have is because we're seasonal, it's kind of hard for us to be able to say, I don't know how long it would take in the fall, but how do we ascertain whether or not things have been put back right or the water line works in our cottages? Because most of us who have a seasonal resident close down our own water, and many of us are not able to be here to see the result and how we would, make sure that over the winter nothing dire happens, just a water leak or something like. New pipes, I get that, but I'm concerned about if it's in the fall, many of us won't be here.
So you don't want to get this water in the house.
It's a good question. So, with the construction, this whole project, not just Van Buren Point, but the other two communities further south, that's going to take a contractor a good amount of time to do the whole project. So once they're done near the end, we go through and do an inspection with them to verify they did everything properly, they restored it to our best of our knowledge and any residents that are still here. And then there is a mechanism in the contract that at that point when we think everything's complete for them, there's a 1-year maintenance and warranty period that they have to bond for with the town, that from that date where we sign off, say everything's for the most part okay, it's a 1-year period that they have to fix anything within that period. And it's very typical that restoration items, they have to come back the following year and touch up items such as lawns or ditches that have settled. So there's that mechanism that's in place for a year to assist with that. So that year period may allow you, if you're not here when they're finishing things, when we do the final walkthrough with the contractor, you have still time the following next couple of months to inform the town of any concerns you have.
That's still for the water. We're concerned, I think she was saying, when we come back in the spring and turn our water on, and it doesn't, something's not happening, and it's still covered. We all turn our water off.
Yeah, if your water's shut off when you leave,
Yeah.
this is gonna be designed differently. The old system, a lot of you had meter pits with a valve down in that meter pit to shut the water off.
Right.
The new one's you're gonna have your main line, and then it's a curb stop, like most places have. Why this was put in, but it was put in the 70s, so somehow they put it in without. A curb stop is a valve in the ground with a cap. And you can shut that water off there, and then it goes to the meter pit. From the meter pit, it goes to your house, and that connection is made. So that main curb stop will be shut off until you're back, and then our water department or contractor will turn that on, check it out with you, and see if everything's working fine. Yes.
So you're saying that you would have to wait until the seasonal owners are back on the premises before the water is used?
You don't have to. If you want it on before, if you're here, we're not going to turn nothing on until you're here at your cottage or house.
Because if it's in the fall or the winter, we have to freeze.
Right.
So, those things are a big concern.
it'll be left the same way you left it, you know, when you left. You know, until you're back and want to put it back on. We'll charge it up to that shutoff valve. It'll be all ready to go. Until you come back on, we won't turn that valve
But
back.
you have to do it our
The connection point, yeah, and that connection point can be done even when you come back. I mean, it's, but you're gonna want water probably as soon as you can.
But can our plumber
I
do
get
it?
my plumber to turn this all on and all off. So, did my water not get turned on until I'm actually here?
Unless you have your plumber lined up and, you know, somebody's gotta verify that we can turn that water on.
What about cottages? We don't turn our water on because we're winter.
That's fine, then we can, we'll hook it up and let it go, you know, it's,
You're not necessarily in residence.
We go back and forth.
but you want your water on, yeah. No, that's not a problem.
Just to clarify this point, we have our plumbers turn the water off, flush the pipes, do it at the valve in the pit. The new system had this stop place that your people, is it the town of Portland Water, I forget his name.
Yeah, Drew Smith,
Drew
yeah,
will have to
yes.
come and do something in conjunction with the plumber who still will turn something on at the valve in the pit, or there won't be a valve in the pit.
The valve will be just outside, well, there's a valve in the pit too, I think, yeah.
So Drew will have to come, turn the water, when the plumber's there, to turn the water on in the pit.
Yeah.
And what kind of scheduling will we have to do to get him there? You know, will he just come within a 24-hour notice, or what?
That we'll have to work on because there's so many of them, so we'll probably have to get some kind of procedure put in place for that.
And this will be going forward from now forward, that's going to be the process.
Now, the only thing, when we dig that up and put that meter pit in, and we see that maybe your line is in real bad shape, we'll get a hold of you and let you know you should really consider, because you're gonna pay from, the meter's gonna be out by the road. So if your line's leaking to your house, you're paying for that leakage. So might be a great time to replace your line if it looks like it. But if they dig it up and your line to the house looks good, it's good copper or whatever, you know, that's fine. Yeah. Yes, Marty.
Danny, are you going to follow the same water line that is now? Because answering Jeff Sprick's, I don't see his name on the list. So it's going to go, the last name I see is Bartholomew's, and then it goes over somehow to Oakdale and goes down Oakdale. So all those people along Lakeside from Bartholomew's down, their names are not on the list until you get down to Oakdale and then the bike path. So that's what I'm wondering, is this line gonna mirror the line that is there now?
The new water main, for the most part, is going to be on the opposite side of the road where the water main is now.
But I mean, it's gonna follow, I mean, you're not gonna change the main, I mean, you're gonna change the main, but not necessarily the direction. Like, okay, when you get down the lakeside, normally you go all the way, you would think you would go down all along the lakeside, but it doesn't. It goes to Central on Lakeside and then goes over, looking at the names on the list.
So it's not illogical to continuous routes
Or are we extending or putting main where it isn't today? Is that,
Right. Are you putting a new main where there isn't one today?
I don't believe so. There might be a change of crossing a road that may involve that, but for the most part, we're trying to mirror or mimic where the existing main is now.
Right, because it goes across, and then it looks like it might go through some backyards or something, and then down Oakdale, which is
Yes.
and then it's again where there's we call it a bike path. It's not through traffic. It's where the double street is, and then it goes beyond that.
Because we had to try to balance the cost, fitting this new water main in with all existing utilities, trying to avoid easements where we can, And keep in mind that if we can fix some drainage along the water main path, we'll try to do that. So what we have, might make it easier for everyone, is an overall map of the whole point, showing the properties, showing the proposed easements at this time, and the new water main. So I think that will make it a little clearer. And that list you're referring to is just a list of potential easements at this time. It's not every homeowner in the property.
Exactly.
Is there a copy of that list anywhere? She already has the information.
Attached to
Okay.
Can you show us the map?
someone else.
We'll show.
Sure, so once we're done with some general questions, both Rami and myself will sit down at a table and talk with you. You can see these maps, and we'll leave a copy with Marty as well, so you can see them in the future.
Back to the question about the water main. Our plumbers can't hook it up once it's all connected? We have to have somebody from town?
Oh, no, your plumber,
Once you're done and they come out and open our cottage, they can't go out and turn that? They need you to be there to supervise that? It's confusing. It's
Yeah.
confusing.
Is your plumber now turning it on and off?
Yeah, they turn it on and off, yeah.
So I think they could still do that, and at that point, those coordinating with Drew Smith further.
yeah, because our water, the new meter pit will have a lock on the top of it, it's a lock. So they'll have to come down just to open it, and then your plumber, if he has to be there, you know, to turn it on and off, he can do that once the cover's up.
So they're gonna be locked, okay.
Is that just the first time though? The first
Not
time
every year.
each year?
Probably each year,
And to turn it off too.
Once a year, correct. For all of us.
That's
Our plumber has to be out there when somebody's there.
Not necessarily, the
No.
lock is off.
Yeah.
He comes and
they can unlock it, and then if he knows your plumber's coming, you know, you're coming, say, you know,
We don't know.
the first week of June or whatever, it's, they can coordinate that with your.
But we don't need to coordinate plumber and the guy who unlocks it.
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
The guy who unlocks it will be there 5 days before the plumber?
And I'm not exactly sure how that's gonna work, if Drew's comfortable, if whatever plumber does most of it down here, or whatever.
We have
He-
lots of.
He can leave, he can have a key, you know, I mean,
That would work better
it's
probably.
nothing special, but, yes.
The meter pit will be locked, but will the shut-off valve also be locked? They need the shut-off valve.
The shut-off valve is down in the pit,
Oh, it will be in the same pit.
in additional to another shut-off valve before that.
Okay, and then, if you're replacing the meter pits, will you be raising them? Right now, they're sunken, raised up to
Yeah, they'll be,
surface level?
they'll be more down level.
And will those caps be replaced as part of that project? Because all of them are, none of them lock and people fall in and break
You
their
mean the
legs.
meter pit?
Yeah.
Brand new meter pit. The meter pit has like they're about this big around. The meter, you can get down there, they're like on coils, and you can pull the meter up so your plumber can get at it better, and, you know, our department can get at it better. They'll be all radio controlled meters. Once that's in there, unless they have to do maintenance on it, or you gotta shut it off for, you know, we won't have to even get in that meter pit, because the automatic readers can read it.
So it's a plastic coil? Is it plastic?
Yeah, some kind, I don't know what kind of pipe that is. It's
It's-
flexible.
Polyvinyl HDP pipe,
Yeah, good.
just in the pits, you can raise it up.
Yeah, I don't know how prevalent this is, but I've got my own shut-off valve pit about 2 feet away from your meter. I don't know if that's common, but, so will my shut-off valve be taken out in this process, or how's that?
I guess that's up to you. If you know, once it leaves that meter, we can hook to where you were, if you want to take
Well,
that.
I just don't know if it's going to be
Yeah.
taken out during construction, because it's only about 2 feet away from your meter.
We'll have to coordinate.
And folklore is that when they put the original water and sewer system in here, they kept it at a pretty shallow depth to discourage year-round development. Is this system going to go deeper?
Yeah, it's got to be by standard.
The new water main by state codes, we have to have it below frost level, which is about 5 feet minimum depth of cover.
But
Yeah. If it's determined that the line to someone's house is in bad shape, who is responsible for, replacing that? Do you replace that? Do we? We have to
yeah, the
hire
lot-
someone to
we
coordinate
go-
with
We go
you?
as far as that meter pit,
Okay,
and then that's your responsibility in your house.
all right, so we would have to hire someone to do that, to coordinate with you. What do you also, another question, what happens, you're mentioning getting easements. What if you don't get all the easements that you need to get? Certain people don't want to give you an easement, then what do you do?
Well, it makes the project more difficult, and they gotta reroute the line maybe, if it's just their dead set they don't want you to cross. We might have to go in the middle of the road or around, it just makes the project a lot more harder and more costly.
Would Portland consider a condemnation to acquire the necessary easement if the owner won't give it?
We're not looking to do that.
Okay.
The Phase 1 water main project, 7 miles of water main, about 70 easements. We did not do that once. We worked with homeowners, or if something can be worked out for various reasons, we revise the location of water main. But we have to have a starting point to begin that process.
Yeah. There's at least two other utilities under the street. You've got gas, you've got sewer. Is this water line 5 feet down below frost level going to intersect? It's got to intersect some of those. I don't know that all the sewer lines are 5 feet deep. And I don't know about the gas lines either, but in order to get under those, you're going to have to cut. So how does that work?
As far as the new water main coming across existing utilities, the good thing with new water main, it's pressurized, so we can go under. Typically, you go deeper than existing utilities, and you try not to cut them. Obviously, the gas line you want to cut, but sewer or storm system is a little easier to cut and repair, but we would go underneath those existing utilities.
They're old and delicate.
Yeah.
It happens a lot.
Yes.
With the easement, because I'm on an easement, and some of us have very established landscaping, driveways, cement, whatever. So if this comes through, do you lift the plants? Do you replace the cement? What do you do?
If it's a driveway that, you don't want cut, they can bore underneath it, if need be. Landscaping, it's got, they could actually bore under if it's really, really landscaping that can't be changed.
What if there are trees there, like, 10-year-old trees or something that?
They're not gonna cut trees down unless they, unless you want it.
It goes back to that balancing act versus what a property owner does or doesn't want. And if you do some of that work and you have to replace a driveway, that adds cost. Or as Dan mentioned, maybe you can drill under it. That adds some cost too. It's just, you have to weigh a lot of different factors looking at it. And maybe after talking to someone, it doesn't make sense. You can just main further. You can be near some of those facilities and still not damage them. But
So it'd be very good for us to take pictures, lots of pictures too.
yes.
Oh, yes.
We take pictures, the contractor is supposed to, because it happens a lot. Homeowners want to make sure the property is consistent with the before conditions.
Yeah, now my question, it's part of Beck's question. We have a very large tree that's right beside the road, and I believe that's the side the water line is going down. Will that tree be taken down?
We can look at the plans further and we can tell you that.
Okay.
But if it is, we can always adjust the water main near that location.
When you talk about winter and spring, that's next winter and spring, 2020, and is that definite?
Well, again, it all depends upon this process with the homeowners that we could maybe bid the project this winter, December 2019, and then in January and February. And the contractor, depending on what they're able to do, maybe they can start work in those late winter months.
But if he starts in the late winter months, he'll be working through the summer season.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not gonna be set for like, originally it was like gonna be this fall. And during the, basically the non-populated months. But it could be right during the middle of next year, during the summer season.
It depends on when we're able to get through this process. Do we
Your
tell them?
solicitation process, but, I mean, but it will be continuous once the solicitation is complete.
It will be, and we can maybe tell the contractor, focus on this area during these times, non-peak summer times, which are really between
Memorial Day and 4th of July and even Labor Day, those 3 months, try to avoid majority of work here. So then you're forced into work in the spring and the fall, and in the winter, which
And
we can tell them.
If you've noticed, if that contractor started here and he put water line in from the lake to here in one day, by the time he leaves that day, he's got that pretty much back to normal before he starts on. I mean, roughly, you know, but they don't just keep tearing up and leaving this, you know, they put it back pretty good. And they'll put plates in the road if need be and things like that. But, we're trying to do it the most cost-effective way we can. What happened this year, we could have maybe pushed this project quicker. All the contractors, there were so many projects going on in Stockton County this year and elsewhere that all the bids were coming very high because there was business. So they weren't bidding on stuff, and if they did, they bid on it really high. So we're hoping this will be good timing to get the best rate for them.
Do you have any idea, the estimated time it would take from this time the project starts to the finish time? 6 months, a year?
It's about 3 to 6 months, but they can focus on an area and shorten it up. So it takes them a little while to put the main in, they got disinfected, and then they connect the service lines, and then they do final restoration. So even focusing in this area, that can take 3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
I'm not an engineer, but I have a question. What material will the pipes be made of? Are they iron, are they PVC?
It is going to be PVC water main.
And just a general question, what will be the life expectancy of these PVC pipes?
It is very similar to ductile iron pipe. It's about 80 years.
And the other general question that I have, again, I'm not an engineer, this is, you know, my sources are simply from the internet. Will this be the digging, this be trench or trenchless? I hear trenchless is a faster way, a more economical way of going, like a pipe bursting technique. Is that something you're looking for in terms of contractors?
Well, there's different methods of installing the water main. Some of those you mentioned, but they each have their pros and cons. So the majority of the work is going to be installing the new water main by normal open trench methods. A couple locations they can directional drill under the road. You'll see it a lot for smaller services such as gas lines. Because it's a smaller pipe, it's easier and cheaper for them. But predominantly the size water main we're talking about, open trench is the most cost-effective method to install a water main. The water services from the new main to your front property line, if it's under the road or alongside service, the contractor actually pushes that under the road to avoid cutting up the road at every service that crosses the road. So it's a combination of technologies.
And what we did find out with ductile iron, when Tom Webb put his development in down there, that was all ductile iron, and we've already had quite a few repairs. There's something in the ground that's getting at that iron pipe. So plastic is definitely the way we want to go down here.
Does this mean that there will be a trench in my yard? Or is that putting back dirt over that trench, or? if the easement requires a trench, I'm looking at a trench.
Just to dig it. And
And then it come back.
Yeah, and then they,
Thank you for these.
everything's put back. Again, that's where everything's put back.
Okay, got it, fine.
This will include road restoration in your cost, and will include tap-in fees.
Will include restoration. Tap-in fees, I think that's separate with what Dan mentioned, that $300 cost, I think that's what that includes. The contractor is responsible for installing the water main and a new water service from that water main to your front property line and reconnecting it.
Well, that $300 was an annual cost.
Yes.
Is there a one-time tap-in fee?
No, that's included. That's all included, whatever it ends up being.
Will there be interruption at all for those of us who are year-round here in water service when you start this?
That's a good question. Typically, no. The only time that there's going to be a minor disruption is the day that the contractor is going to connect the new service to your old service by the meter on the front of the road. And with that, it's typically a quick process of an hour or two, but ahead of time, you're going to be notified of when that's going to happen, so you can plan ahead, and it happens a lot. Maybe you got a party going on that day, so they skip you. They'll have to bounce around this whole development, coordinating with the homeowners.
Another thing you'll be notified on is when they're actually gonna start that line in front of your house to let you know you better not park there and things like that. But they'll coordinate with everybody. And,
As far as road restoration goes, if they trench, like half of the road, will only half of the road be restored, or will it actually be, completed to a smooth surface? And a second follow-up is, will there be traffic allowed at all times during the work taking place? Or will any roads be closed?
Any of the road crossings right now proposed, it's really perpendicular cutting across the road. And we try to avoid going parallel in the road because that adds a lot of cost. If we have to, it would probably just be primarily restoration of the trench, maybe about a 5-foot swath on top of the road surface. And although the roads are narrow, I think there's still room that one-way traffic can be maintained on the majority of the roads. But if there's a point the contractor gets on board and feels they need a section closed off, we'll alert everyone ahead of time with the association. And we do have regular progress meetings, so the contractor has to keep us informed of what's happening, and we'd alert everyone ahead of that time.
I'd like to know a little more about fire hydrants and locations. Is that for the map, or are they specifically, or just what that entails, or whether that's yes, well, I'm sorry, I was asking about the fire hydrants.
fire hydrants, where they are,
How many
the
more?
requirement, I think it's 400 to 500 feet that they gotta be spaced.
There are some loose requirements as far as spacing hydrants. More densely populated areas, you have a little closer. They could vary between 300 to 800 feet. Our plans do show the proposed new hydrants. So when we look at them, we can show you where they are, if they're located near your property, and we can adjust them. And the contractor can adjust them in the field with the field of the town. It's just, we need so many in the area.
I mean, we want that fire hydrant where it's not gonna be right in your way all the time. So definitely, we'll have the plans here. If you say, man, that hydrant's just gonna be in my way, that's where I plow my snow or whatever, it's, we can adjust, to your satisfaction.
The cottages on the point are particularly flammable. My concern would be that we have more rather than less, and if they can be placed on property lines or near telegraph poles or something so that it's not in the middle of somebody's view looking across their yard, that's good. But the worst thing that could happen would be if there was a fire in a cottage and the fire department was really able to, they had to run hose 800 feet. It's more difficult to fight that fire and prevent other cottages.
I think that's why in these more condensed areas, like you said, they move the fire hydrants in a little more, like 300 to 400, right? Is that
Correct.
And that's for that purpose.
Okay.
You know.
The Route 5 project, there was a lot of fields, we could stretch that, maybe 1,000 feet, but there's no homes there. Here, it's the opposite, they're closer.
If you're going to give notice by mail, our mail goes to Florida, takes about 5 days. Is it possible to have an option to get email notices in
Yes.
this process?
Yeah, if everyone has email, and if Marty doesn't have your contact already, we can get that, and then with Marty's assistance, we can do maybe a regular group email information update, or if something specific to your street that you live on your property, contact you directly. 'Cause it's a lot quicker than
Yes,
email.
yes.
Yeah, we would love to work with email as much as we can, because then you're notified right away. You know, so. But like, we all know how email sometimes it goes right over.
But it's important to let them know if you change your email,
Yeah.
as we found out.
Will there be oil orders from time to time?
No.
You said that.
The way this would happen is because it's like, you got Green Crest, you got Van Buren here, and you got different areas. If they say started right here, you would have water, they'd have the shut off valve, all this water would be tested, and then that, everybody could be hooked to it. Green Crest might not have it, or vice versa. Green Crest goes first, they might be on the new main, you're still on the old main until it's tested and put into service. So, it's this, however it starts. But, it's got to be approved and tested by the county before it can be turned on.
If we close our cottages this winter, okay, at the end of this season, are there any special things we should tell our plumbers? Like, I'm pretty sure not all the water is drained from my cottage. I'm pretty sure there's antifreeze somewhere.
Yeah.
What should happen? Is there any special, is that okay?
It won't affect it.
Great.
Dan, why do they have to put locks on? They don't have locks on them now. Why do they have to have locks on them?
Just so nobody tampers with that meter, but, you know, it's nothing real sophisticated.
So about the 5-sided bolt.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of the plumbers probably have that already. And then and Drew, I'm sure will work with, just, when you shut your cottage down, just let Drew know, you know, and he can coordinate.
How do we let the crew know?
Well, we could do that, we could, you know, you can call them, we can set up a list here, you know, we'll coordinate.
We'll have to figure it out as we get closer, because
Because we have
it's going to be a lot of back and forth.
We have lots of plumbers that come here. It isn't just one plumber. There's maybe 5 or 6 that come out here.
Maybe
And they
we'll
all
get-
do it their way.
We'll get together with them later on, and they're aware of what's upcoming
Right.
too.
As it gets closer, we'll have Drew come down so he can answer a lot of these questions, how he feels comfortable doing it.
With the key in the lock, we've had this done in Pittsburgh, and they never had the correct key. So is there going to be a universal key, or is there, because 100 and so many cottages? I don't know. Our experience in Pittsburgh was difficult. First, they got
This is a pretty standard, I mean, it's nothing, it's like she said, it's a five-star bolt like.
It's a standard key or locking device for these devices.
For
It's just,
all of them.
you can't go to Home Depot and get one, sort of thing.
I'm not worried about that. I'm just wondering, you know, is it going to be?
This is what's gonna be required for this proposal. When Conflict goes online, that same one's gonna be, it's all standard. The North County decided to build a 1 meter pit out of the locking device.
So it would be the same for all the cottages?
Yep.
Yes.
A key may be the wrong word to describe it. What he's saying is a bolt. It's the head of a bolt.
I know.
It requires a socket. It's 5 sides. Try getting that online. It's hard.
Is there a backflow preventer or a check valve in the?
Yes, within the meter pit, it contains a backflow device and the meter and some shut-off valves. So it's
Because I don't
nice.
think they're in, I don't think there's any in there right now, that I know of. And that would be maintained by the water
Now,
department.
now your pressure is gonna be identical to what it is now. The only difference is with new pipe and with that water main out front, your flow, you know, like your hydrant flows down here and everything are gonna be a lot better. I mean, as far as when you do it.
More steady, more consistent.
If my plumber has the wrench or whatever it needs to lock or unlock that bulb, can he do that, or does he still have to contact you to have you do it so he can open my cottage?
That's a question where I'm gonna have to sit down and do and see, but we'll come back.
He's not my plumber. I have a different plumber.
Well, he's the borough, he's the
Yeah.
water department, right?
Yeah, he's
Yes.
the water.
Use the water.
Oh, okay.
Or you can show us the maps today, so you can see this.
Yes.
Is it possible that Marty gets a hard hat with her name on it?
What is the weight of the trucks that you'll be using?
The contractor's gonna have some standard work trucks, probably small dump trucks, and a couple backhoes, front end loaders that are smaller size.
So, smaller than garbage truck?
Yes. Although they may have occasionally bigger dump trucks with the dual rear tandem axles. But we just did a similar project with Shorehaven down by Westfield. And that contractor uses a small dump truck, the majority of the work. But there's gonna be some equipment.
Because I don't imagine these roads have much of a base on it. So even a small dump truck.
And they gotta be able to maneuver down here, so a bigger dump truck, they're probably gonna have to stay with more smaller trucks.
Many of us are interested in having our cottages hooked up. When do you recommend we do that? Before, after, middle, what's the time frame that we should have that done?
Well, as far as getting a new water service, it's a little easier to work with a contractor and have them install that line from your house out to your primary road where you want it with just a pipe connection at that location. And then when the contractor for this project comes by and is able to tie in everyone's water service, he can tie it in because that's part of his work under his contract, and that will save you a little money. You can always come back after the fact. If you do it later, our contractor will install the meter pit and some spare line along your front of your property where you're okay with that location, and then your contractor can hook that up.
But you're recommending we do this beforehand, even though we don't know where our pipe's gonna be?
It's either before or after. Before is a little easier, but regardless, we would still work with each homeowner to figure out if you have new service, where do you want it? You can plant a flag or a stake there and say, this is where I want this connection.
We'll give everybody a stake to where they feel they want their service.
Okay,
you know.
because there's many, we're going to try to get one plumber and contract with them to come out, but we need to give them some guidance on when that would be, whether it would be before, middle, or after this project.
See, when Pomfret put their line in on Route 20,
Right.
they didn't have water, so a lot of the contractors ran the line from their house, had it all set, just had it stubbed up, and then when the contractor went by, that's where he went through and then the meter put was.
Right. So if we're doing-
It's a little different here, because you still need water in your cottage, so it's gonna take a little more coordination.
But you recommend, yeah.
You have no water service now, or do you?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. Well, with that, there's not much you have to do. The contractor on this project has to switch over. He'll do the connection,
Okay.
but you'll be notified ahead of time because there might be an hour or two downtime. They typically like to flush your garden hose line and get any air out of the service line, but you'll know ahead of time for that.
So are you recommend, I'm so confused. Are you recommending we tell these plumbers we want it done before you start the project, middle of the project, or at the end?
Can you repeat her question? We can't hear her at all.
Her question is, if you wanted a new service going to your house line, that's your responsibility. Should we do it ahead of time or do it after the water line's put in afterwards? That's going to be probably your plumber's question, because if he wants to come through the same spot where your old line was, which I'm sure he's going to want to because it makes it easier on him, he'll have no problem hooking to that meter. So, I think in this situation down here, you'd be better off waiting. You know, our contract will hook to that whole line, but we'll give you a recommendation that you should probably think about replacing, you know.
And
So
when-
you're saying,
Yeah, and when-
From that meter pit to your house, the new PEX pipe, you can use PEX, you can use copper, I mean, that's your choice, because we're just responsible for that meter. So whatever pipe you want to use for your house, is up to you. I mean, everybody's going with the PEX pipe now.
And typically, existing water services are still good, it's just if the contractor exposes your existing line and it's galvanized metal, that's typically one that should be replaced, and we'll let the homeowner know, because that does deteriorate over time.
so we should wait.
Yeah.
There are a handful of cottages that don't have water pits. They've got curb stops. But it's like, can they remain the same without a new pit, without a pit?
Pits are going in for all.
We're trying to install pits everywhere to make it standardized for every property.
So you're gonna have to have a pit.
Yes.
Okay.
Do I understand correctly, the existing meter pit will remain where it is? It's not going to be moved? It'll be
No, not-
replaced, but it'll be in the same location?
If that's where you want. Or say, this is the time to say, I don't like that meter pit there, let's move it over here. But that's where I think for yourself where it's more feet.
I have a quick question about this, and it's most of the public stops in the roads are so narrow that technically when the operator extends to what we should have is on the yard, it's not like somebody's going to use it.
And on the plans that we can look at, we did bring in the property information that does show that we're,
So where Bender and Point roads are, and then like technically my property becomes, even though the survey is.
yes, they're pretty much the same line.
Water lines, are they on both sides of the road or on one side?
The new one?
Well, the existing.
I'm just showing
Are
the
you
maps.
replacing all the existing ones?
Yes.
So on Lakeside, for example, are the water lines coming up and down on both sides of the road? Or are they on one side?
Yeah, on one side of it.
Well,
Is there a portion?
for a majority of the new water main, it's going to be located on the opposite side of the road from where the existing water main is. There are some stretches, if there's enough room, enough grass area, that we are installing a new water main parallel to the existing one, but let's say 5-10 feet away, but for the most part, other side of the road. Because it's difficult to work next to an existing live line with small space off the road.
The reason for meter pits nowadays versus years ago was to read all the meters when you had a meter pit was really time consuming. So now with the new radio control, they just can drive by and read those meters. Plus that gives, what happened is that you had a long stretch, which down here most of them are shorter, but if you had a long stretch and the meter's down in your basement, say, and that line's leaking, now everybody was paying for that leaking line because it wasn't going through that meter. So it gives us better control of, you know, if that's leaking there, you're gonna be more something to say, I better fix that, my water bill's going sky high. You know,
Will the existing line be abandoned in place then, or?
Yes.
Will it be capped and plugged?
It's disconnected, and capped and plugged, and then it just.
If we have a lot of drainage problems here, we don't need another conduit, it's open for water to be
No.
going from one place.
So the old one will be plugged.
The old line will basically just be drained and left in place and capped where it's going.
Yes.
I have a question, oversight. Will there be someone like yourselves on a daily basis present during this entire project?
Yes, we will have a project engineer on site. And on top of that, the funding agency, Rural Development, has their own construction inspector that checks in every so often. We have progress meetings, so there is oversight, especially on a daily basis.
And somebody from the sewer board has to be on site when they're digging, so that they can identify the sewer lines. That's what.
Yeah, we'll have progress meetings, which are required through rural development. And that's where they'll report on what lines they put in, what the projected lines they plan on putting in, and just keeps everybody up on par.
So if I can summarize, we let our plumbers do what they usually do. We will be notified of work done on our property area, whatever. The catch will be when we open up or close next year. Make sure we notify Drew ahead of time so the plumber can then come in. The plumber and Drew do not just be there at the same time.
That will coordinate as it gets closer to exactly how we want to proceed forward.
Well, I prefer that my plumber be able to help when he can.
Yeah.
And is there any other supplemental?
Restoration.
Restoration of roads and grass will be done. Will not be
Are you gonna show us the map individual pages, right? What are you gonna do about the maps?
The maps.
The maps.
We have
I wanna
them.
see the maps.
So what we can do now, those two tables over there, Rami and I will have the same set of plans, and then you can talk to us, and we can show you your property, or you can point your property out to us. We'll show you where the new water main is, and let you know if an easement's being requested or not. And then we have a full set of the design plans. If you have further questions about a tree or where a hydrant is, we can look at those at the same time as well.
And then when we get closer with the easement, you'll get it in the mail showing where the water lines are going to go through the portion on your property. And that's when you can also come in and talk to me at the office. I'll have a set of plans and we can review it, or Seth or whatever.
And the current water bills in town, I don't know what computer's printing them, but they're so light you can't barely.
Yeah, we're changing, we were going with a different color and it wasn't working, so we are rectifying that. I apologize.
That's good. Will that be available online at all to look at?
What was that?
The map?
Maps will be available
Will they
online.
be available online at all?
Now, what we can do, and there's copies will be at the town hall. We can leave copies with Marty, and we can also provide PDFs for the plans.
I guess that's what I
Put it on your phone.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we can set up the files can get large, maybe a download link that everyone can connect into and look at it further.
Will that be sent out to us? An email to everybody?
Figure it out.
If we have your email, yes.
I have a,
I don't know your website capabilities with the town, but maybe you have a little sub-page to your website that could be a project page, and you can post updates there, the schedule, the plans as they're updated. That would be helpful. Then we can just direct those there.
You know what they do?
But I mean, if they...
Right, interconnect.
Yeah, right. They have the most up-to-date information. Yes. It's the easiest for them to post it there.
When you're putting in the main coming down, we had talked about the drainage, and because we have so much water coming down, would this help? I mean, divert some of the water coming down into our fields?
There's only so much improvements to drainage that we can do with this project, basically what's along the water main path. Anything major beyond that location is out of scope with the funding agency will allow for the water main. So if we do too much, then the cost for each user goes up as well. But if we're working along a ditch line and come across a catch basin that's bad or a pipe, we can try to fix those along the project path. But it's probably not, it's not going to fix the overall major concerns. That has to be looked at separately overall for the whole development.
So from that point, as far as the drainage, we've been sort of holding off, trying, we did walk, Eric from their firm has walked through the whole area, and he's put like a preliminary, so he sort of knew where all the drainage problems were. And we were looking for possible funding, but we hated to move forward till we seen what was repaired through this water project, because why waste money if it would not be? So after this water line project's together, we'll take a hard look at it and see what possible funding is out there. Get some type of drainage system. Well, if no more questions, we'll lay those maps out, and they're going to be identical maps, so either go to one table or the other, and you can answer your questions.
I'd like to thank you.
Thank you.